Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. Today I'm sharing with you part one of my Christmas throw pillow cover design series. Today I have to share with you a very cute frayed raggedy beard Santa made with torn strips of printed cotton fabric, 2 additional fabrics for the hat and the face, small bits of felt, throw pillow covers found in abundance of colors and sizes on Amazon, and a small piece of fur or furry ribbon for the hat. Such fun to create. Stick with me and I will show you step by step how I created this Santa Christmas throw pillow cover. Please remember to subscribe, give this tutorial a thumbs up if you enjoy. Leave me your comments. I always love receiving them. And let's get creating. Okay, this is a throw pillow cover. This one is a 16-inch throw pillow cover. I advise you to go on Amazon, or you could go to Hobby Lobby. I'm not sure they have red. However, very easy to find them in abundance on Amazon. Any color that you like, any size throw pillow that you want to cover. Now I'm sizing my particular Santa head to a 16-inch throw pillow cover, but you could go as high as 18-inch and still have this Santa head fit very nicely on there. I'm using a 6.5-inch wood round here to use as a guide for the head of the Santa. I figured that this was a really good size, and this wood round really helps me as a template for creating that head, but also in other ways, just as I go along in this project. I don't actually put the wood round on the pillow cover, but it really helps me otherwise. I'm going to use that as a pattern. Now, I have here that it's like a plastic screen. I believe you use this for like needlepoint. I'm not absolutely sure about that, but I got mine at Walmart, and of course they have it at craft stores. You're going to need a little bit of batting for the hat, and then a little bit for the face, because I do want to puff up the head of the Santa just a little bit. Now I have that little piece of fabric there. It's very stretchy. Now you're going to need something that you can really comfortably put around that round piece of plastic. And if you need to stretch it, it's nice to have a stretchy fabric. Now, I believe the piece that I used there, that was from a pair of, believe it or not, tights. Young girl tights. I don't know. I had them in my material bin. I must have used them for something for a face, and I had some left over, fortunately, just enough to create a nose and the face of the Santa. Now, you could look for a fabric, perhaps at Hobby Lobby. Oh, gosh, I would have told you Joann's prior to the recent development of their closing, but I can tell you that a heavy stocking would work. A pair of tights would work. Maybe you could find something at the thrift store. Sometimes when I'm just looking for a piece of fabric for extremely cheap that I just need it for some type of project, I do sometimes stop by the thrift store and look for things like that, like a sweater or something like that. I have been known to do that. So you're going to have to get creative to find something of a color, like a fleshy color, for Santa's face. I have there as well a piece of fabric. It is a houndstooth print. You can't really tell it from looking at it right there, but it's a very miniature houndstooth print, and it's very cute for this Santa hat. I have needle and thread there. I'm going to definitely be using that. I'll talk more about that in a bit. And I have a pom-pom, and I'm going to show you how I make the pom-pom. Now, I bought a printed fabric. Actually, I had this. You've seen this before. I made an ornament with this, a snowman ornament. But I'm going to be tearing strips of fabric. And I cut 32 strips for placement on a 9-inch long cord, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. And then I cut 16 more to place on an 8-inch cord, and I'll explain that in just a minute. But I'm tearing strips around 20 inches long, and I just snip my fabric every ½ inch, and then I just pull and tear the fabric, pulling that fabric toward me, and it comes off in perfect strips. Now, here you see me I'm with a cord. I think I picked that cord up at Walmart. Now, one of my cords is 9 inches long. One of them is 8 inches long. I'm doing 2 rows of beard material. That sounded weird. But I wanted that beard to be nice and full. So I'm going to be mounting those strips on this cord. And then I will place the cord across the face, the lower part of the face for the Santa. Now, very simply, what I do is I take a 20-inch strip. I fold it in half. I lay the loop of the strip on top of the cord. Then I feed the tails of the strip underneath the cord up through the loop and pull it through. Pull it very tightly, and I continue on. I'll show you this again and again here. But this is how I'm creating my beard. Take the 20-inch strip, lay it across the cord. See how I did that? I have the loop on top. Then I feed my tails underneath and up through the loop and pull it tight. Now I have a little knot there, and I'm just going to continue on until I fill up a majority of that cord. I cut all of my, or I should say I tore my strips. Actually, my 9-year-old grandson was here when I was doing this, and he actually tore most of the strips for me. How lucky was I to have such a great helper. Yeah, he's the same helper that found that beautiful stick for my owl wreath. He's a great, oh boy, does he love crafting. But anything to help with my crafts, he loves it. So you can see I'm going along here and just continuing to mount my strips of fabric onto that cord. Now, again, I created 2 lines of these fabric strips on the cord. One was about 8 inches. That's going to be for underneath the beard, the main part of the beard. And then I'm going to put the 9-inch strip of the fabric strips. And that's going to go on top of that. And the reason why I did that was to create a fullness of the beard. And I didn't want to be able to see through the beard and see the red throw pillow cover. So I thought if I do 2 layers of the beard, that will take care of that. And it actually did. Now, I had this vision for this Santa head, just came to me. And I had no instructions, so I was really just flying by the seat of my creative pants like I often do. But I was so happy that everything really came out well. There was only one little hitch, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But now you can see how I'm using that wood round. It's a great template to trace around on top of my plastic canvas. And this is going to be my base or my foundation for the head. Now, everything that I put on this pillow cover, I wanted it to be something that it wouldn't matter if it got wet. In plain words, if something were to spill on this, it could be hand washed. And so I was trying to make it so that everything on the pillow cover, if it had to be washed, could be washed. Now this is especially pertinent because I'm making this pillow and the throw pillow covers to follow in my series, all for a sitting room at the Quantum House. And once this leaves my hands and it's placed at the Quantum House, I have zero control over what happens with it. And I don't know, how much handling it's going to have, or if people are going to be like sitting on it or throwing it around. I really don't know, because it's going to be for a sitting room for families that stay at the Quantum House. So I'm trying to think of everything here, trying to make mine very, very sturdy. Now I'm going to take this batting, and I'm going to put my hot glue gun on a low temp setting because I'm gluing this to a plastic surface. But this is fine because I have a low temp setting. And I just kind of worked that batting with my fingers so that it was as big around as that circle. Now this is how I'm puffing up my face a little bit. So I'm just going around the perimeter of that circle and I'm gluing that batting down. Because when I go to put my fabric on, I really don't want that batting to be shifting around while I'm trying to do that. So I'm trying to cover all of my bases here to make things easy for me. And you, if you decide to do this project. Okay, so now I have my fabric, and I don't have a lot of it, so I have to be very careful to make this work. But fortunately, this is a stretchy fabric, because as I recall, I think this was a pair of tights, and that's all I have left of it, but I figured that I could make it work. So I'm going to cut little snips along the edge of that fabric, and this is going to make it easy for me to put this on the back of this piece of plastic. And again, I have this low temp on, so this is working just wonderfully. And I'm taking it little bit by little bit, and I'm stretching that fabric and making sure that I get that on all the way around that circle. Now, again, this is a 6.5 inch round. So I would say if you're going to use just any kind of fabric, you should go with like probably a 7 to 8 inch circle of fabric. And then if I were you, anytime you cut around a curved area, if you put little snips in your fabric, it really helps to get that fabric on easily when you go to cover your piece. Okay, so I did that side. Now I'm going to do the opposite side. Doing the same thing, cutting the snips. Now I have that all done. Everything is all attached. Everything is going very well thus far. So I decided to cover the back of it, thinking that I ended up doing some stitches to hold everything on to my pillow. And again, it's because of the uncertainty of where it's going to be. If you have this in your home, you have that, ability to make sure that the pillow isn't abused. This isn't really a pillow that you put your head on and lounge around with. It's for decoration. Let me tell you about this Aleene's, let's see, what's this called? Aleene's Fabric Fusion. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it like a 0. Okay, and that's a lot for me to say because I absolutely love Aleene's Tacky. So I tried using that. It was not helpful. It was not helpful at all. I ended up using Aleene's Tacky. Now, a word about that. I'm getting ready to do the nose here. I cut out a round circle. I kind of just guesstimated how big I wanted it. I think it's around 3 inches in circumference. I'm going to take, I'll get back to that other subject here in just a minute. I'm going to take a needle and thread, and I'm going to just do a big stitch, a loose stitch, all the way around the perimeter by hand. I'm just going to be gathering this fabric. Now, this doesn't have to be pretty or precise or anything like that. Just do a layer of stitching all the way around. So what we're going to do is pull those stitches once I get that all full of stitches, and then I'm going to stuff it, and that's going to be the nose of my Santa. Oh my goodness, turns out so cute. So while you watch me do this, let me finish that thought about Elaine's Tacky. I've been crafting for many years and using that glue, Elaine's Tacky glue. And I can tell you that it is the best glue ever. And that includes gluing fabric to fabric. And I'm telling you, there's been many times in the past when maybe I've made an error and I want to pull something apart and you could just forget it because that Elaine's Tacky will hold like nobody's business. So I'm going to use that along with stitches for mine. But I'm thinking that you don't really need to do a lot of stitching of things on to this throw pillow cover like I did. Again, mine, not sure what kind of, abuse it might take. Maybe it will just sit there and just look pretty and nobody will, sit on it or lean on it or put their head on it or throw it around the room. I just really don't know. So I'm just preparing mine for whatever may come. But if I were doing this for my home, honestly, I think I would just use Elaine's Tacky and do barely any stitching. Now, of course, I have to stitch here because I'm creating a nose, but I'm referring to all the stitching you're going to see me doing here. I do show you how I do it. If you want yours to be like really, really sturdy, you can do more stitching, but I also use glue. Elaine's Tacky. Okay, so I gathered my thread, I pulled it tight. Look at this cute nose I have here. So I pop my batting down in there and I stuff it really well because I want a nice big fat nose on my Santa because I think this adds so much charm to this one. So once I get it all stuffed, I pull that thread really, really tight and close it up. Then I'm going to create some stitches to hold all of that together, and I have a fabulous, easy to create nose for my Santa. Now, I don't think anything on this project is difficult to do. I think maybe certain things are a little time consuming, like maybe tearing fabric, but honestly, get somebody in your house to help you. I had a 9-year-old help me, so yeah, it went great. I didn't have too much to do. So I think this project is absolutely adorable. Wait till you see the reindeers coming up. Oh my goodness, they're going to be so, so cute. So be sure you check back. It's going to be within the week. You'll see that one. Possibly sooner, maybe a few days. But I'm a very busy girl right now. Very busy. Okay, so there's my very cute nose. It's all ready to go. All right, now for my hat. I cut a big triangle. I cut 16 inches on the sides and 16 inches on the base. So everything is 16 by 16 by 16. Now this fabric is a very lightweight fabric, so I'm going to have to stuff the fabric a little bit once I get the hat put together. I have this little piece of fur. That's what I'm going to use for the brim or the bottom of my hat. Now, you have other options if you want to use some type of fur. Hobby Lobby has a great 2.5-inch fur on a spool in the Christmas department. You can pick up a furry 2.5 inch at Walmart. It's not as pretty as Hobby Lobby's. Or you can use like a crushed velvet. Okay, so I'm going to fold my triangle in half, right sides together. And then I'm going to put a stream of tacky glue all the way down. Press it together only about not even a quarter of an inch from the edge. And I'm just going to let that dry. Then I'm going to turn it inside out. Now here I'm showing you. This is like a crushed velvet. I think that one was from Joann's, I think. And then the other one was Walmart. So you could, or if you have some different type of fur that you want to use, or some other type of fabric, you can create that bottom part of the hat any way that you want. So I need to make some eyes here, and I'm going to do them out of felt. I'm not going to paint them on that flesh-colored fabric. I'm going to use felt. I suppose you could paint them if you wanted to, but I thought the felt would look better. So I just kind of guessed how do I want my eyes to look, and I cut out two, I think they look like windows. I mean, that's the way I see it. They're flat on the bottom and like arched windows. If I come up with weird analogies, but that's kind of what they remind me of. So I put a little light in the eye with Snow White Waverly chalk paint, and across the bottom for the white part of the eye, I just did a white line across the bottom. So my eyes are pretty small, but I like it in contrast to the nose. I like the big nose and the small eyes. There you see it. But you can cut them in a round shape if you like, whatever you like. So I'm going to make a pom-pom just like this for the tip of my hat. Now I have this very pretty white yarn, and I wish I could think of where I got it, because I definitely want to get more. So I'm going to have to figure it out because they have I used up all of my red. Love the red, just like this. It's a very soft, very pretty, little bit thick yarn. So I am going to wrap a piece of cardboard that's about 2 inches, and I'm going to wrap it 30 times. If you've never made pom-poms before, you do not need a pom-pom maker. Very easy to do it yourself. Then I cut another piece of yarn, and I'm going to slide that underneath all of that area that I wrapped. And I'm making this much more difficult than it needs to be here. I'm going to shove that underneath. Usually I use my spatula, but I couldn't find it at the moment. And then I pull it right up to the top. And I can go ahead and slide it off now because I have my piece of yarn through there. And what I'm going to do is tie 2 knots. And I'm going to make this super, super tight because this is going to be holding all of those little pieces of yarn. This is super easy to do. Pull it super tight, like that. Then tie a double knot. Make sure it's very tight, just like that. Now I'm going to take my scissors and cut through the opposite end where I tied it. Now it's going to free up all of those little pieces of yarn. Then you're going to take the piece of yarn that you used to tie around that grouping of yarn pieces, and you're going to hold that in your hand and hold the pom-pom by the base. Now you're going to start trimming. Now what you want to achieve here is just a circular, a kind of a rounded shape. That's what I meant to say, a rounded shape. And you just keep trimming and trimming and trimming until you're happy. Now I have this really great fluffy ribbon, and I like to stop and do that because what it does is it makes it fluffy. But boy, I'm far from being done here because now I need to continue trimming and trimming. Notice how I hold it in my hand by the base, by that piece of yarn. And then I just keep trimming and trimming till I have the desired shape. And periodically I stop and fluff it up. And it gets very soft and pretty when I do that. I'm sure I'm going to do it right now. Yep. And then so periodically just hold it up, look at it, see if it's in the desired shape. And I'm not there yet. So I'm going to keep trimming. And this is how you make a pom-pom. So easy. You don't need a pom-pom maker for this. I suppose they're helpful. I never really even bought one, to tell you the truth. I just do it like this whenever I need a pom-pom. You know what's really cute is to make a pom-pom garland. So if you're interested in doing that, this is how to make pom-poms. Super cute on a traditional tree or a gingerbread tree. You know, you can do a red pom-pom, then a white, then a red, then a white. That's a super cute garland for a tree. Okay, so I'm continuing on here. I'm going to shape this up so it looks very pretty and handsome on my on the tip of my hat for my Santa. Another cute idea for pom-poms, if you are looking for some other project to do with pom-poms, is to get a piece of felt by the yard as big as you need it for whatever size tree you have. Cut it in a circular shape. Cut a slit so that you can wrap it around the tree. And then make pom-poms and attach the pom-poms like every 6 to 8 inches around the felt with a needle and thread. Oh my goodness, that makes the cutest tree skirt. I did that for the trees at the Quantum House. Super cute. So you'll be seeing that. But just making some suggestions while we're watching this process going on here. Okay, so I have my pom-pom all done and I'm very happy with that. Now I am not going to glue on my pom-pom. I'm just going to thread a needle and sew it on. Now I'm making sure here, how does my hat fit? So the dimensions that I gave you, if you're going to use a 6.5 inch size head, this hat is going to fit very nicely on there. Now, all of the dimensions, everything that I have mentioned here thus far, or any other dimensions that I mention as we go along here, I will put everything in the description box. So refer to that. The dimensions of the hat, the dimensions of the strips and the cord and everything. I'm going to put that in the description box. So what I'm doing here is, while I have this needle and thread out, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to put a few stitches right through this pom-pom to make sure that none of those yarn pieces slide out of that pom-pom. So this is just a double assurance. Everything, like I said, everything that I'm doing, I'm just thinking, about, how to make this as sturdy a piece and enduring a piece as possible. Hopefully this makes it through this Christmas season and hopefully maybe next. Now, if you have throw pillows on your couch, all you have to do is put this right over the top. Yeah, really a great way to decorate for Christmas. Now, this is a pretty elaborate throw pillow cover here. The reindeers that I'm going to be doing are a little bit more flush on the throw pillow cover. This one is, a little bit more lavish, obviously, but just so cute. Such a really cute way to decorate for Christmas. So I thought I would show you one that was a little bit more elaborate. I'm also going to do one more aside from the reindeers. I'm not certain if I'm going to do stockings on a throw pillow cover. It's going to be super cute if I do. Or if I'm going to do ornaments that look like they're coming down from the edge of the throw pillow cover. That made no sense at all. But it's in my head, so we'll see what happens. Which one I do? I might possibly do both, depending upon time. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start placing my beard on my the face of my Santa. Now, I am going to, like I mentioned, you could at this point just glue the edge of that hat on the face, or you could stitch it, or you could glue it and stitch it, which is what I'm going to do. But before I do that, I'm going to put a little bit of batting in the hat. Now, if I don't do this, it's going to lay flat on that throw pillow cover, and I would like to see it look a little more puffy and have a little bit of body to it. Now, I don't want to stuff it solid. Absolutely not. This is a very loose stuff. So I just work the batting with my fingers, and as I go along, I'm checking in to, make sure that I don't have any big lumps or bumps. I'm using a wooden dowel to help me control my batting inside of there. And again, I don't want it really full. It's going to still be pretty flat, but at least now it has a shape. Okay, so I took some straight pins and I put my hat on over the head. Now, the reason why you keep seeing me put the eyes on and the nose and trying the beard out is because I'm trying to make sure that I'm spacing everything properly on this Santa head. So you'll want to make sure that you're doing that. Just keep checking in with the items that are going to go on the face to make sure that, you're not pulling your hat down too low. And that you're placing your nose in the proper place. Just keep a check on that. So I use straight pins to pin that down. And what I'm doing here is I'm sewing mine on, obviously. But again, if this were mine and I were not taking it to the Quantum House, I probably would have used tacky glue on this, because it's just not going to come off. So I'm just going to go about going all the way around my piece here, doing just not a tiny stitch, just every 1/4 inch maybe. And then I'm going to go around the back, and I can attach my stitches right to that red felt that's on the back there. That fur is going to go right over that area, so those stitches will be completely hidden. Now, I don't need to wrap that fur all the way around. So as you can see, I'm just going to wrap it around the back about 1.5 inches on each side. I am going to glue this on. Yes, and I'm not worried that it will come off. So I'm just putting a good trail of glue down. And I put a dab of hot glue just for that immediate hold, to hold that on there while it's drying. And now this piece is starting to come together, as you can see. I'm going to take my Aleene's and wrap that around the back side. Put a dab of hot glue to help hold that while it's drying. Just like that. And the other side as well. Dab of hot glue. I put it in the areas where there's no tacky. And then that's going to help hold that on, and it will dry very nicely like that. Okay. Coming together now. Starting to look really cute. Okay, again, checking in with the features of my face. Very important to keep doing that. I do put some little, really cute little straight line eyebrows on this. I don't know if I showed you that when I was doing that, but they're just cute little straight lines. Try and notice it on the finished piece. And I just used a fine point Sharpie for that. So I'm just going to put Alien Tacky Glue on my eyes. I made sure that I placed them so I could put those cute little eyebrows that I had intended to put on there. So you'll still be able to see them. And they won't be hidden by the fur. Now we're going to take the nose. Oh, that nose is so cute. It's going to go right underneath the eyes. Now, I'm using Aleene's Tacky here. Again, if I were doing it for me, that's all I would do. A little bit of hot glue, I think, too. But I ended up doing a few stitches just to be sure, because you don't know who might be pulling on that nose, right? To see if it comes off. You could tell I've had a few children. And a few grandchildren. Curiosity. So, yeah, I put a few stitches just to be sure. I don't want a Santa with no nose at the Quantum House. So, trying to think of everything here. And so I just loaded up needle and thread with a similar color thread to the nose. And I just did some stitches. And I stitched it right to that fabric of the face. Just a few, just to make sure it wasn't going anywhere. Now my beard, that's going to go right underneath the nose, just pushing right up underneath the nose. Now the beard is really kind of the star of this piece. And the fact that I kept everything fabric, including the felt for the eyes, and I'm doing also holly leaves and holly berries. You'll see me doing that later. It made sense to me to use a fabric, not knowing, what, I wouldn't want to use anything else. Let's put it that way, in the place that it's going. But I absolutely love it. And I think that I might even do this if it were in my home, because I think the torn fabric is just so cute. There's a lot of fraying on those strips of fabric from tearing it. And it's just really cute. And, I mentioned earlier that this fabric has a pattern. And I'm sure you're not surprised if you follow my channel and you've gotten to know me as a crafter. You're probably not surprised that I used a pattern for Santa's beard. But honestly, that's what takes things to the next level of cute when you do things like that. Okay, so now this is my first layer. This is let's call this the underlayer beard. All right. This is the one that I mentioned that I put on the face, so that you would not see any of that red throw pillow cover, or at least for the most part not see it. So I thought if I had an extra layer, then that would help to make it look like a solid very big, fluffy fabric beard. So I stitched that all the way across. Now, if you want, you could glue that using tacky and hot. Now, this is my longest one. The one I put underneath was on the 8-inch cord that I loaded up with fabric. This is the 9-inch cord. This has to stretch a little bit further across the face because I'm bringing it all the way up to the sides of the hat. Now, I'm going to take a needle and thread and stitch this on. And I just think that's really the best idea for this piece where it's going. Now, your strips of fabric are going to look wild and crazy and quite a mess. But I'm going to show you here, after I get this sewn on, how we're going to trim everything and make it look really, really good. Now, notice how I have my beard right up underneath the nose. Now, when I go to trim all of this up, that's probably the most timely thing that I do on this piece. Now look at this. Oh my gosh. Now it's on the throw pillow cover. Okay. So I'm going to flip all of my beard pieces up. And yeah, you guessed it. I'm going to sew mine on. Just do a whip stitch all the way around. Nothing too crazy. Not tiny stitches, just a whip stitch all the way around the edge. And in doing so, now I had to be sure that I wasn't sewing the other side of the throw pillow cover to my Santa. So I put a piece of cardboard inside of that throw pillow cover so that while I'm stitching, I'm not picking up the opposite side of that throw pillow cover. So I'm going around with a needle and thread. Now I also put tacky glue underneath this. So I have tacky glue on the felt, which is going to hold it, and then I'm stitching as well. All right, back to the beard. Okay, so I'm going to take my pieces of fabric and try and just make some sense of everything here. But what I want to achieve with this beard is kind of a very wide U. And so my shorter pieces are going to be on the upper side, on the left and the right, up there by the ears. And then I'm going to graduate the length of my pieces as I go around. Now notice what I'm doing with the tails. I'm not going to leave them blunt straight. I'm going to do an angle cut. Now, when I'm doing the, as you look at the Santa, when I'm doing the right side, I angle my pieces one way. And then when I get about to the midline, and I'm going to go back up on the other side, I angle them the other way. Now, I think the angle cut is definitely best for this piece. If you want them straight and blunt, you know, you do you. That's up to you. But I'm telling you what I think looks really good. Now, this was I actually really enjoyed this part. Just making this beard just as cute as it could be. So I've got these 2 layers of torn fabric here. Now, you're going to have a lot of loose threads. No problem. Just snip them off. The fraying is what makes this cute. So if you see that your pieces have like loose threads, go ahead and fray it. Oh my gosh, it's going to look really good. Now you see me cutting some blunt pieces there. And the only reason I'm doing that is I'm trying to, first and foremost, I want to be sure that none of my beard pieces extend beyond the bottom of the throw pillow cover. So that's why I made the blunt cuts, but you'll see me go back and cut slants on the ends of these pieces here in just a bit. And I'm not going to make you, maybe I did make you watch me do this whole part. I'm not really sure. But I did spend a good amount of time getting this beard in a really good shape, snipping off all of the threads. There's going to be a lot of threads because this fabric frays, and I'm handling it and handling it and handling it. So it's fraying, but I love that because that adds to the look of the piece. Okay, so I have my beard all done. I guess I didn't make you watch all that. But see how it doesn't extend beyond the bottom of the throw pillow cover? Now you can see I'm pulling threads there. Anytime I see a loose thread on the sides of my strips of fabric, I pull it because I want the fraying. So I just keep snipping and cleaning all that up. Oh, yeah, that's really cute. Okay, so you know what's coming, right? Rosy cheeks. Santa must have a rosy nose and rosy cheeks. So I got my favorite crafters collection in the color red, and my paper towel, and a kind of a straight edge brush. I'm using a paintbrush that has kind of a bristly, flat head to it. And I dip my paint in there, and you can see what I'm doing here. I have a paper towel, and I really, really want to make sure that I brush off all of the paint. And then I'm just going to dry brush not all over the nose, but a majority of it. And I'm going to do the bottom of the nose. Now, what if you make a mistake? What if you get a blob of red? You didn't quite brush your paint off well enough, and you got a little area that's a little bit too heavy with the red. I actually did that myself. One little spot on the side of the nose, and then one spot on one of the cheeks. All you have to do, don't panic. But you do want to be very, very meticulous on this part because you've done all this work. So you don't want to be, ruining the face. So you want to take this very slow and be careful how you apply this dry brushing. If you deposit a blob of paint and you like, oh my gosh, I did not mean to do that. What I do to fix that is I take my Snow White Waverly chalk paint out, a very clean brush, the same type of brush. I dip it in my Snow White Waverly. You're going to see me do this here, but I'm just filling you in on this while you're watching me do the cheeks. And then I'm going to do another dry brush, really, really, really dry brush. And then I'm just going to do a light brush over the cheeks and the nose where I was a little bit heavy-handed. Now, this is actually going to look really good because Santa, yes, he does go out in the snow, and it actually just kind of looks like he has a little bit of a snowy cheek. I'm just making sure I got my cheeks the way I want them. And here I go with that white. Now I had a little spot on the side of the nose, very lightly. I'm just barely touching my fabric, but I'm concentrating on the area where I made my little error. And now I've just solved my problem. And it looks adorable. So guess what else we're going to do? Freckles. I call these snow freckles on Santa's cheeks. So I'm just going to take my Snow White Waverly and a very fine tip brush. I'm going to put 5 or 6 freckles on the cheeks of my Santa. Very cute touch. I don't know if you can see, if you zoom in, you'll be able to see the little eyebrows that I put on this Santa. I think they're on there now. If you want to zoom in on that, you can see it's just 2 little very fine lines that I use that Sharpie fine point marker. So now I'm doing the other cheek, just about maybe 5 or 6 little freckles. And let me tell you, this just adds another level of cuteness to this piece. I'm super happy with the way this turned out. And I hope you are enjoying this tutorial because I'm just really loving it. Okay, now you can see my hat is all poking up beyond my throw pillow cover. Don't worry about that. We're going to fold it over. But I need something on the hat, some type of decoration. And I wanted it to be something cloth. If I'd have done it for my own home, I would have done a cluster of small red jingle bells and put it there. But again, I want something cloth, but I actually love the way this turned out. I took 3 pieces of green felt, about 2 inches long, rectangular pieces, and I just cut out 3 holly leaves. I'm just going to simply glue these on to the hat with Aleene's tacky glue. Now I just had to wing it here, but I've done a lot of holly leaves, so I had a pretty good idea that I could accomplish it. They don't have to be identical. They're leaves. Who cares if they look exactly alike? No one. Okay. So then I have some red felt, and I'm going to cut out 3 holly berries. And I'm going to be placing those right in the center of the collection of holly leaves. And this adds a beautiful color to my hat and another level of cuteness. You could just wing it on these, just cut out a circle, actually 3 circles, because I have 3 holly berries. Aleene's Tacky will glue those on very nicely. Now I put them above the fur. So see, I'm bending my hat over because I want to see like where am I going to put the holly leaves. I want to make sure I place them correctly. And that's how I'm going to do it. And I let one of the holly berries kind of encroach a little bit in the area of the fur, just the tip of it. Look how adorable that looks. Okay, so then I'm just going to put some Aleene's Tacky on the back of there and just, oh my goodness. Yeah, that was a cute touch. I love that. Now, if it's for you, for your home, you could put anything you want on there. You could put snowflake. That would be cute too. A nice big, not big, but maybe a 2 or 2.5 inch glittery snowflake. You glue that on there. Okay, so now I bent my hat over, and I'm going to glue that to the side of the hat with Aleene's Tacky as well as a little bit of hot glue to help hold that. Now, I did sit and hold this for a bit because, you know, I'm bending this hat over, so it's trying to resist me, but I just sat and held it for a little bit. And then I put some as well underneath the pom-pom. And now my hat is sitting within the area of the throw pillow cover. Now you can work on shaping that any way you like. And then for the hat as well, I'm going to take some Aleene's Tacky and put it on the back of the hat and make sure that is all sitting nice and firm. Look at the beard. Oh my goodness. How cute is that? Now, I just kept fussing with the beard because I have kind of that like wide U shape. I have my holly berries, my hat with my pom-pom. Yeah, I'm happy with the way this came out. Let me know what you think. I'm going to be putting the pillow in here and show you what it looks like. Yeah, love, love. Okay, here it is. And that's my Santa throw pillow cover. My elaborate Christmas throw pillow cover. I love it. Now you can kind of see that houndstooth pattern on that fabric. Okay, tell me what you think of this one. I think it's super cute. See you in the next one. You all take care.